Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. Which of the following are correctly matched? Operation Blue Star, eliminate armed militants who were holed up in the Golden Temple. Operation Pavan, Indian peacekeeping forces operation to wrest control of Jaffna from liberation tigers of Tamil Ilam. Operation Vijay, Indian operation to push back the infiltrators from the Kargil sector. Operation Olivia, Indian armed forces ended the rule of Nizam of Hyderabad. Which of the following are correctly matched? The answer to this is 1, 2, and 3. When you look into Operation Blue Star, where did it happen? It happened in the state of Punjab. What was the root cause of this particular issue? There were militants who wanted to enhance on the very idea of establishing the state of Khalistan. These people, the armed militants, were present in the Golden Temple. To eliminate them, an operation was conducted, and that happens to be Operation Blue Star. So, what is this Operation Blue Star? This is nothing but elimination of the armed militants who had the very thought of establishing the state of Khalistan. Eliminating them was the very idea of this operation. Then we have Operation Pavan. What is this Operation Pavan? This happens to be independent India's first out of the country operation where Indian peacekeeping force wanted to establish peace in the northern and the eastern part of Sri Lanka. So this particular operation was undertaken by Indian peacekeeping force where in Sri Lanka. What is Operation Vijay? There were Pakistani soldiers and infiltrators that occupied the Kargil sector on the Indian side of the Jammu and Kashmir. In order to prevent them from further expanding, eliminating them, neutralizing them, and pushing them back to Pakistan was the major agenda of Operation Vijay. So, Operation Vijay was an Indian operation to push back the infiltrators from the Kargil sector. And finally, what we have is the police action against the princely state of Hyderabad, where they ended the rule of Nizam of Hyderabad. This is not Operation Olivia, but instead it is Operation Polo. So kindly remember, Operation Olivia is to do with Olive Ridley's and it is not to do with ending the rule of Nizam of Hyderabad. So the Indian army marched into the Hyderabad. There was lot of atrocities which were committed by the Razakars or the army of the Nizam of Hyderabad. So overwhelming them and putting them under control and bringing the princely state of Hyderabad under the control of Indian Union was the Operation Polo. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference in this article. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements with respect to olive ridleys. Olive ridleys are found in Atlantic, Pacific, Arctic and Indian Ocean. The olive ridley is listed as vulnerable under the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Red List. Coast of Odisha is the largest mass nesting site for them. Which of the above statements are correct? The answer to this is 2 and 3 only. Why is the first statement wrong? That is because when you look into olive ridleys, they are found in Atlantic, yes. They are found in Pacific, yes, but they are not found in Arctic, but they are found in Indian Ocean. Since it makes a mention of Arctic, the first statement is wrong. When you look into the olive ridleys, they are mostly found in the warm waters of all these regions. So the warm waters of Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean is where these olive ridleys are found. Now the question is, why is it called as olive ridley turtles? That is because of the greenish tinge that is associated with their skin as well as their shell. The IUCN Red List puts it under the vulnerable section. They are carnivorous species. They eat the jellyfish, shrimp, snails, crabs, mollusks and variety of fish and their eggs. And the largest mass nesting site for the olive ridleys happens to be the Odisha coast. Where do they come and nest? It includes Damra River, Rushikula River as well as the Devi River. So kindly remember, Odisha happens to be the largest mass nesting site for the olive ridleys in the world. Since these are the ones which come up to the Odisha coast, lay their eggs, what needs to be done is protection that has to be accorded to them. So according to the protection rules as envisaged under India, they are protected under Schedule 1 of the Indian Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So what are the various threats to these olive ridleys? Basically, heavy predation of the eggs by the dogs. Added to this, indiscriminate fishing in this particular area is a major cause of concern. Sometimes the fishing nets also entangles the olive ridley turtles as well. Added to this is the beach soil erosion, that is the major cause of concern for the nesting of these olive ridley turtles. How do we protect the olive ridleys? One of the operations undertaken by the Indian Coastal Guard happens to be Operation Olivia. What is this program? This was initiated in the early 1980s, where the coastal guards along with the coastal community along with the fishermen in this particular area came up together to protect olive ridley turtles. So this Operation Olivia is to protect the olive ridley turtles in the coastal region of Odisha. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements. Coral reefs occur in shallow waters of the tropics. Only hard corals build reefs. Which of the above statements are correct? The answer to this is both. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference in this article. Now the question is, what is a coral? Is it an animal? Is it a plant? What is its role when it comes to the aquatic ecosystem? A coral is nothing but an animal. It is a marine invertebrate. It is closely related to a jellyfish. A single coral animal is what is called as polyp. So when many polyps come together, hundreds and thousands come together, act as one single organism, that is what is called as coral. So kindly remember, a coral is nothing but an animal. It is a marine invertebrate. When it comes to the aquatic ecosystem, this is an animal. What it also requires is the food and its source. Who provides the food and its source? That is what is called as the algae, zooxanthellae. So when we have the algae and the corals coming together, establish a symbiotic relationship where one generates energy from the other, that is called as the healthy coral. So what happens in a healthy coral? What we have is a reef that is constructed by the coral. What is this reef? This is nothing but a structure created by the corals. So the structure, the skeletal structure created by the corals is what is called as the coral reefs. This is created because of the calcium carbonate that is secreted beneath the bodies of the corals. So what is the reef? It is nothing but the skeletal structure created by the corals. That is what is called as coral reef. When you look into the first image, we have all the three in picture. First, what we have is the coral reef, then what we have is the coral, and finally what we have is the algae, that is the green dots as shown in the picture. When everything is healthy, the relationship is healthy, when they are able to derive energy from each other, there is a beautiful symbiotic relationship. But when there is stress that is given to the corals because of the climatic changes, because of the increased temperature, what the coral goes through is enormous amount of stress. When there is stress that is given to the corals, what happens? You see these algae that are green in color, they completely move away from these corals. In the first image, the algae is in a symbiotic relationship with the corals, but when there is stress that is given to the corals, these algae move away from the corals. As more and more algae move away from these corals, it results in what is called as bleaching of the corals. In the second image and in the third image, what you can actually see is that the reefs are not colorful anymore. When you look into the first image, there is colors that is associated with the coral reefs, but when algae move away from the corals, what you actually see is the reef becoming paler and paler. When the algae moves, the coral loses its major source of food, turns white or very pale, and it is more susceptible to the disease as well. So when the algae, which gives color to the coral and to its coral reef, when it moves away, it becomes white in nature. That is what is called as coral bleaching. So what are the major causes of coral bleaching? Change in the ocean temperature, runoff and pollution, over exposure to sunlight, extreme low tides, all result in coral bleaching. Now when you look into the article, it goes on to say that there were some corals like the brown rice coral which are not able to withstand the fluctuations of temperature and climate change, but there were other set of corals like the blue rice coral which are able to withstand the temperature fluctuations and climate change, all because they had a protein called as the chromoprotein. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next practice question. Recently, Barithala Suchustapani was in the news. What is it? A new species of wasp from the genus Kudacrumia identified by scientists in Goa, a carnivorous reptile that lived 240 million years ago, a zingiber from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, a newly discovered fish fossil from Assam. Which of the statements best describes Barithalasuchus tapani? The answer to this is it is a carnivorous reptile that had lived 240 million years ago. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in this article. In the Telugu language, Bari means huge, Tala means head, and Suchus is the name of the Egyptian crocodile headed deity. So kindly remember, Barithala Suchus tapani is nothing but a carnivorous reptile. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements. The chief secretary in a state is appointed by the governor of that state. The chief secretary in a state has a fixed tenure. Which of the statements given above is or correct? The answer to this is neither one nor two. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the mention of the chief secretary in this article. So when you look into the first statement, the chief secretary is appointed by the government of the day. So the first statement is wrong. When you look into the second statement, the chief secretary is a state has a fixed tenure. No, the chief secretary does not have a fixed tenure. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is the FAME program. What does FAME stands for? It stands for Faster Adoption and Manufacturing of Hybrid and Electric Vehicles. What was the agenda of this particular program? What we are witnessing is increasing cases of climate change. There are huge fluctuations because of the emissions of the carbon. As a result, the government of India wanted to introduce a particular program where it give boost incentives for the manufacturing of electric vehicles. Such a program which is undertaken by the government of India to give boost to the hybrid and electric vehicles is what is called as the FAME program. This happens to be one of the programs under National Electricity Mobility Mission Plan, and this FAME has two important phases. The phase 1 lasted from year 2015 to 2019, and currently what we have is phase 2 of the program. It has four major objectives. One is the creation of the demand so that people can more and more go for accommodating these vehicles. Second is a platform for technology, come up with advanced technology, so the manufacturing entities and industries will have to come up with new technologies so that people get adapted to the electric vehicles. Then we have pilot projects that will be taken up by the manufacturing entities, and the government will also establish charging infrastructure that is required for these electric vehicles. Just like we have the petrol pumps everywhere, what we require for these electric vehicles are the infrastructure. So the government on its own will ensure that all these four objectives are met under the FAME program. So the FAME program currently in execution is the phase 2 of this program. What are the key features of this scheme? Allocation of 10,000 crores for a period of 3 years. The government will ensure incentives are provided to the manufacturers. It has also requested the state governments to provide more incentives and discounts to the consumers so that they can opt for these electric vehicles. And finally, what we have is this particular scheme will ensure that the emissions come down and all the matters when it comes to environment are kept in check by the government of India. So basically, this is one of the programs of the Department of Heavy Industries, Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises, whose basic aim is to increase the production of electric vehicles and bring it under the commercial fleet. The government will offer all types of incentives for the electric buses, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, so that this can be used for the commercial purposes. It is this that we have to understand in reference to the FAME program. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.